This is the bowed lyre, and it's an ancient folk instrument. And in this video, I'll show you how you can easily make one yourself with a DIY kit that you can find over at coverbanjos.com. Alright, let's start putting one together. Okay, I've got all the parts laid out for your kit. This is everything that you will receive in your kit. Let's go over all the parts real fast so you know what everything is called. This is the peg head, and I do mark it front and back, and that's important because the holes are tapered for the pegs. These are the arms. This is the box. This will be the bow. And here we have all of our small parts. The horsehair for the bow. Taped into the bag is a piece of black thread, and that will be important when we're attaching the horsehair to the bow. Got a set of strings. These rough cut pieces of wood. These are the only rough cut wood in the kit. These are going to be used for internal support. Inside the box you can see it's marked where you're going to end up gluing these in, and these will help with all the downward pressure from the strings. Your tailpiece, simple bridge, friction pegs, the rosin for the bow, this is a piezoelectric pickup, so you can amplify your instrument if you want, and two types of screws. These longer screws are used to attach the peg head to the arms, and these smaller screws are used to attach the arms to the box and to attach the tailpiece to the box. So that's everything. The only tools you will need: you must have some wood glue, and you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. And because these screws are, this one's pretty small, so I found I needed two different Phillips head screwdrivers to fit the screw better. A larger head and a smaller head. Now, optional supplies, just a little piece of sandpaper. This is 220 grit, that's good enough. And if you want to add a stain to the wood, you can just pick any stain you want. And we'll be staining this one ebony color. So let's get started. First thing I want to do is take all this hardware off of this box. You'll see later why I'm doing it, but you can leave it on if you want, or you can just completely get rid of it, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Use just a small Phillips head screwdriver. I'm not going to use the hinges. I'm not going to put the hinges back on. I just kind of like the more sleek look without the hinges. So I want to show you here how to fill these tiny little holes so they'll be less noticeable when your instrument's all done. There's several other holes already drilled in the box, so you want to be sure you're only filling in these tiny ones that were for the hinge and the clasp. So just get your wood glue. Get the wood glue into the holes. And then take your 220 grit sandpaper and sand. The sawdust that you're creating mixes in with the wood glue, so you're kind of making your own wood putty, and it'll just fill in, and make sure not to fill in any other holes on accident. But you want to make sure that you really thoroughly sand during this step, because having extra glue on the wood will show. It'll show up if you're gonna put a stain over it. So just make sure you get all that extra glue. Okay, the holes are all filled. Not perfect, but you know, that's okay. I'm fine with it. And maybe sand. You don't really have to sand the top or the back. Maybe just a little bit. And I'll take whatever stain or varnish you chose to use and read the instructions on the label. I'm gonna do 2 thin coats with an old rag. Okay, the horsehair is already tied on one end. So that tied end will go, we'll call this the handle of the bow and this the head of the bow. You'll know the handle because there's a little cut in it. So first let's pop the horsehair. It just slides right through that. Same for this end. Just got the horsehair pulled in. Now the kit comes with a piece of black thread. We're going to use that to tie the horsehair to the bow. So just I'm going to start it like this. Leave a little extra. Tie a good knot on there that won't slip. And then pull your horsehair. Make sure all the strands are at the same tension. Just going to get this bit out of the way. That's fine. And just wrap the thread around nice and tight. It's very simple, just gonna keep going with the thread. Wrapped it about, I don't know, maybe 10 times, and now just tie it off. try it again just to be sure. Alright, that horsehair isn't going anywhere now. Now you can take the extra and just cut it. I like to leave a couple inches just for looks. Alright, I've given the box plenty of time to dry, and we're just going to do this right on the floor so you can see. You don't need a fancy workshop or anything, you can do this anywhere. Okay, let's start with the tailpiece. Tailpiece has an arrow, and there's an arrow marked on the box. Just kind of line them both up, upward. You're going to use 2 small Phillips head screws here, and all the holes are drilled already. You can put a bit of glue here if you want, you don't need to. Alright, we'll set this part aside. Now let's work on the arms. You can see there's 2 holes pre-drilled on each side, and those correspond to 2 holes in the arms, and the arm will be marked left or right, and the inside of the box is also marked left and right. And if you want, you can add glue to this area, wood glue. This will help make your instrument stronger. Might make it sound a little bit better. Now you don't have to do this, but you can. And we're using the small Phillips head screws still. The same for the right arm. A little bit of glue. And 2 of the small Phillips head screws. Arms are in place. Now let's attach the peg head, and you can see the back is marked, so it'll attach like that. And this is where we'll use the 2 large Phillips head screws. And also you can put a spot of glue here if you want. Don't really have to. I think the screws will be doing most of the work. Okay, peg head is on. Take this tape off now. And the pegs go in the back side like this. Alright. Now here we have two little blocks, and they go roughly where I've marked. Okay, with these in place, you get an idea of what free space you're going to have under the bridge. And in this space, you want to connect the pickup. So it looks like if I put the pickup right here, we'll clear these blocks, no problem. It's just an adhesive backing. Carefully press it onto the soundboard. This disc is kind of fragile, so you don't want to be too rough with it. Here. Okay, we'll never have to worry about that again. So, we're all put together. It's just time to close the box up. I'm going to use a little bit of glue on these blocks. And I'm going to put glue all around the box lid. Not a lot, just enough. Make sure this disc is where you want it, because once we close this box up, we're not going to open it again. Alright, and I know not everyone's going to have clamps. If you do, you can use them on the corners here. I'm just going to put these 5-pound weights sure everything's lined up, and we're just going to let this dry for a couple of hours. Got 3 strings, and if you look closely you'll see 2 are thick and 1 is a little bit thinner. So the thin one is going to be the middle string. Attaching the strings is pretty straightforward. 3 holes, put a string through each hole, and bring it up, twist itself around, and then put the end through the eye. It's like a simple slip knot. Okay, perfect. Flip it around. And it's really easy to get the strings on the peg. Leave a little bit of slack and wrap it around. pegs are tapered, so if you push them up into the hole, they'll kind of lock into place. And if you pull them down, it'll be easier to turn them when you're getting the string started. Doesn't matter which way you put the bridge, and you want the bridge to sit about halfway between the sound hole and the edge of the soundboard. So I'm actually going to loosen the strings a little bit here. It'll be so hard to get the bridge on. Stand the bridge straight up. As you tune the instrument, you might notice that the strings are going to pull the bridge down at an angle a little bit, so while you're tuning it, you might need to readjust the bridge a couple times, but once it's all tuned up, everything will be nice and stable. Okay, so tuning this, I use a little pitch pipe tool. You can just listen to the tone through this video and try to match it. These outer strings are going to be the lower note, and they're going to be the same note, and the middle string is going to be a little bit higher. So I found that F, C, and F sound really nice on this instrument. Again, here's the F. I'm happy with that. I'm going to trim the extra off the strings. Now we can set up. It's time to put the rosin on the horsehair. You see, without the rosin, we're not getting any sound. Now if you try to just rub this rosin right on the horsehair, none of it's going to transfer. So we need to turn this solid into more of a liquid. So I'm using rubbing alcohol, and a paper towel, and I'm just going to rub the rosin. And it kind of just melts away at it. Good. Now this is going to go onto the horsehair. This will transfer. Alright, I've re-soaked this paper towel about 5 times with the rubbing alcohol. And I've done this about 5 times. Alright, I'm starting to see a buildup of the rosin on the hair. I'm just gonna once you get a little bit built up, it gets really sticky, and then you can just transfer it from the rosin cake right onto the hair. So this is only for the first time when you're kind of setting the bow up. Every time after that, you'll be able to reapply the rosin, just like this. I think we're ready to try it out. So when you hold the bow, you can tighten the tension on the hair just by squeezing it like this. And you can bow all 3 strings at the same time. Alright, so here it is all finished. I think it turned out pretty good. It's kind of a rustic instrument. I hold it here in between my legs, just like this. Kind of pinch it. And my left thumb kind of supports this arm here. And I use my fingers to, it's like fretting, but obviously there's no frets. You'll find when you're playing it that depending on where you touch the string, you're going to get a different note. So it's not a terribly loud instrument, but that's okay because we thought about that and added a piezo pickup. Alright, so here I've got just a little honeytone amp, a little portable amp. You can use any guitar amp with this instrument. We'll do acoustic first. And if you have guitar pedals, you can use like a little bit of reverb or some delay or some kind of echo. A lot of cool sounds you can get out of this thing. Alright, so that's the assembly video for the Bowed Lyre do-it-yourself kit. You can buy this kit at carverbanjos.com, and I've got a lot of other do-it-yourself banjo kit projects over there. So thanks for watching, and message me through my website if you need any help putting one of these together.